Hello, and thank you so very much for joining me tonight. What I'm creating for you is our pick a card reading for the time period of Cancerian season. Now, of course, these are timeless. I just like to be inspired by, what's going on, what season we're in. And all of us, no matter what sign you are going to be going through Cancer season, just like we all go through summer or winter, depending, of course, on your hemisphere and stuff. But where you're at, if you're going through winter, you're going through winter, and there are the themes of winter. And the same can be said for the astrological seasons. Now, I'm not an astrologer, so this isn't an astrology-based reading. This is just really for us to be able to create a pick a card that is tied into this Cancerian season time period. Happy birthday, fellow Cancerians. I am a sun Cancer. My birthday's in July, so I'm a July Cancer. and happy birthday to you. I honestly don't have tons and tons of Cancerian friends that I see on a regular basis. I didn't grow up with a lot of Cancerian friends, but the ones that I do have, I click with so instantly. So I absolutely love Cancer energy. Cancer energy is very... there's these archetypes of it, right? It can be very nurturing. It is the mother of the Zodiac. It can be quite very sensitive, right? Very highly mystic, highly intuitive, as all the water signs are. A lot of signs are intuitive, but the water signs particularly are highly of the more mystic ones, we could say. But I really want to bring out or shine a little light on another area of Cancerian energy that doesn't really get shown so much in memes or, it's just really easy to joke about Cancerian energy being a crybaby, being so hypersensitive, oh, don't mess with me, I'm sensitive, all this stuff. But really it's don't mess with me because I don't want to cut you out. It's going to break my heart to cut you out. So don't do that. It's Cancer will break its own heart if it has to, Cancer will do the thing that it needs to do because it's logical, it's wise enough. It's not only driven by its emotions, it's driven in a lot of different ways, but the emotions are just felt very strong. Cancer has a very high emotional intelligence, we could say, that's a term we could use here, as in it's an energy that we might be experiencing now where we're not just concerned with the outcome of things, but we're concerned with how we feel about the process and the outcome, or how others feel about the process and the outcome. So it's really, the sensitivity is there. And yes, the tears might come specifically for some of you going through the Cancerian season who aren't really accustomed to these choppy waters. I feel Cancers themselves navigate the season pretty well for the most part. I feel I usually do, but it's also one that we can really, a lot of other people can get very, very, very tossed around by because the feelings are overwhelming, This is a really interesting realm that we live in. We not only have, we have freedom, right? We have, as in we have free will. And in other dimensions, right? In other areas of the consciousness or in the ascension of the soul. And, if we're just out there, chewing on these concepts of other dimensions and stuff, Earth is a really interesting place because here, not only do we have free will, so we can choose on behalf of ourselves, or we can choose something that's disempowering, We also have emotions, which make things very difficult to navigate. It can be an asset, it can be something of a compass, and I really do like to work with the emotions that way. But it can also be something that, hinders us or keeps us stuck on a cycle because we don't want to have a certain emotion, or we're really addicted to having a certain emotion. So this is a great time to set intentions on your own behalf, to read your emotions, to let your emotions guide you in the way of a compass, but to also balance and harmonize your logic with this, because Cancer's season is not a not logical season. There is a lot of logic, there is a lot of initiative here in Cancerian energy. It's a starter, it's a catalyst, of course, and that it has a headstrong energy to it, absolutely. So to harmonize and utilize both of these forces can be a very empowered way of working with Cancerian energy for this season. I'm going to put up here the full moon and new moon dates in case you'd like to work with them. I don't have them off the top of my head right now. I'm so sorry, and I already set up, so I'm just going to put them up here for you. The full moon is going to be in Capricorn, and that is, I believe, on the 24th, actually. So very soon, at the time that I'm recording this, it probably will have passed by the time this is on YouTube. But Capricorn is a great energy for working with, particularly letting things in that will support you. Opening doors that will support you. Opening doors and finding pathways and finding routes or routes, like up the mountain or through the path or through the journey or forward on your journey, that's going to really be supportive of, what you're manifesting, what your soul is working towards, is what I mean by that. And just kind of like following your own will, determination, your personal force and commitment that you're putting into these doors that you're opening, right? Like, we can't just ask for doors to open and these like opportunities to come. We have to have the also intention to work with the solution to that, or the skills that we will need for that door, or the commitment to learning or acquiring the skills that we might need as we go through that door or that pathway, or whatever it might be for you, however you might imagine it to be for yourself. So then we have the new moon, which again, I'll put the date up here for you. And this will be in Cancer. And this is a great time for us to be planting seeds again in accordance to like parenting ourselves, working with our mystic abilities, working with our healing abilities. The water signs are definitely healers, like healer energy in general is what we can be experiencing here. And the issue there, of course, is that healing isn't easy, right? Like, healing isn't like a walk in the park. It feels way better afterward, but the healing part kind of feels like when the fever has to break sometimes, right? Like, it can be a bit uncomfortable. It can be a lot of tears. It can be a lot of effort. It can be a lot of realizations. And just, it's tough to face these things that are difficult for us or that we're challenged by. It's tough to face something so that we can validate it and then we can let it go. So as in, like, not let it go, but, we can carry forward. We can take that lesson, we can alchemize the experience and move forward. So I would definitely say that if you're working in themes of healing through the season, intentionally or not, it would be really beneficial, in my humble healer opinion over here, to remember that you need to validate what is coming up. A lot of times we're not comfortable with what comes up, what we're faced with, and we stuff it down, or we obsess over it, and we like kind of as if we're untangling a knot, and we just get kind of all like tangled up in the knot, and now we're really confused and feeling like now I don't know which way to go. It's not so much about the unraveling of it all. It's definitely not about suppressing it and not facing it either. It's about validating it, just validating how you feel. Wow, this made me feel terrible. I hated that experience. I don't want to have those experiences anymore. Thank you for this lesson. And like, I'm moving forward. Like, I release you with love, Wow, that relationship really blew up in my face. What could I have done differently? Well, now I know. And, even though my heart is broken, I can validate how I feel, let it hit me, let the wave come in and come out, and move on then. A lot of people just simply don't validate how they're feeling, as simple as it sounds, especially for a Cancer, because that's what we're kind of all about here, right? So, all right, so we'll move on with our card reading here. Now, as you can see, we have 3 piles. These are 6, and they have 3 oracle cards in them and 3 tarot cards. The oracle cards are from the Holly Simple Fuzzy Prism Tarot. Fuzzy Prism Oracle. Holly Simple Fuzzy Prism Oracle. We have the Angela Mary Magic Moon BB's Tarot deck as an oracle card we're going to be using. And we also have the Sonia Choquette Trust Your Vibes oracle cards as well. And then for the tarot, we have just the traditional Smith Rider-Waite tarot. Okay, I chose spheres to use for our card selection here. So pile 1 is this beautiful, I always mispronounce this, but like calico pyrite, something like that. It has pyrite and magnesite, and it's this beautiful sphere over here. And then our second pile, number 2, is this little ocean jasper. Little orbs and beautiful little markings in this one. And then for pile 3, we have a sphere of indigo gabbro. This beautiful black and indigo colored sphere here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I'll give you a sec and we will move on. Oh, you know what? While you're choosing, we'll light our candle here. Duh. So this is a candle that I crafted that I've been making for Patreon. I will release them one day when I'm ready, but these aren't like a product. You know what I mean? This is like me baking candle cupcakes for people. So we're just gonna light it and set our intention on behalf of the highest and greatest good and in perfect comfort and alignment. The intention here today is for your own support, you know, for hopefully a supportive message, some food for thought, a validation, a piece of guidance potentially, whatever might be beneficial to you. You know, that is the intention here today. And if you have your own intention you'd like to set, or if you'd like to use pile 1 for love, pile 2 for love, pile 1 for money, pile 3 for something else, you know, you can do that, of course, too, however you see fit. Where do I want to put this? I'll put it here. And then I'm just going to burn a little incense as well, just to clear the field. I've kind of done this already, but I like to do it again. I hope I said it, but happy birthday, Cancer. Fellow Cancerians. And we'll move on. Okay, so pile 1, you chose this gorgeous, this calico, I don't think is the word, but it's a word like calico pyrite. I love this one. It's very good for manifesting financially, you know, like financial stuff or organization or protecting your energy. Definitely one great to work with as a healer, you know, or if you're a sensitive person in general and you seem to kind of identify as like spongy, or you just want to protect your auric field, this is a great one to work with for that. Okay, so let's pull our oracle cards first. We have Action, Queen of Waves, and Fake It Till You Make It. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward here. There's a request being made to you here, or a guidance of sorts, to get your energy in the zone. Get your energy where you want it to be. You see yourself somewhere. You see yourself in a relationship. You see yourself having this much money or this kind of lifestyle. You see yourself moving. You see yourself, you know, having certain kinds of friendships or relationships. You see yourself becoming a parent. You see yourself in some way that is not yet necessarily manifested in your, tangible reality. And for example, someone who is like, oh, I want to be a photographer. I want to be a photographer. I love photography. I want to be a photographer. But you're not actually going out and taking photos, you know, or you're not learning more about Photoshop or Lightroom. You're not reading about lighting. You're not reading about, like, you know, as an example, you know. So there is all of these things here to get your energy aligned to what you're trying to be or what you're trying to experience. This is a very important field here, you know, that we're working with here, the subtle field, the imagination, not in like, oh, I'm imagining that I'm riding a unicorn, or like something that sounds so mystical or impossible, but letting yourself really imagine, play with these internal sort of frequencies, building them in your internal field, filling then your within, your without, your auric field, your entire energetic field, not only with your physical action, so taking the class or practicing the photography or getting out there or talking to people when you go to the coffee shop or whatever it might be, or like, you know, researching the flight information. There's always something we can do action-wise to get started with something. You know, if you really want to be a cook, you better be cooking, you know, you better be cooking and like making content. Some of you perhaps want to, you know, get into the realm of like YouTube or influencer or something of the more creative fields that are a bit like self-controlled. Like, it's up to you to do it. It's not like you go get hired to be an influencer. You just start your Instagram account, you start the TikTok, you like create the YouTube channel. Like, that's how you do it. You don't just go out and say like, I'm going to be an influencer. You have to build it up yourself, right? This happens a lot. I get a lot of emails sometimes, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but people who are like, oh, I just finished my class. I just built out this whole class, this whole like online class basically. Or, oh, I just finished my website and I'm looking for influencers to help me, spread the word. And it's just like, people basically trying to use my platform to promote their stuff. And they have done some work, already. Like, they've set up the website, or they built the class format or whatever it is, but they haven't built the community. Like, they haven't actually put themselves out there. They're not exactly, I don't mean this across the board, but they're not exactly with like a catalog of history to show what they're about. It's like, no, come and pay me and then I'll tell you what I'm about. You got to put yourself out there, like whatever this is for you, you got to put yourself out there in the world doing stuff. Now, I don't mean to say go push yourself beyond your comfort limit so much that you're like, like it's like internally doesn't feel right for you. You're going to have to know where you're at with that. So I do encourage a little bit of pushing beyond a comfort zone, but not if it's going to cause you great stress, not if you're in your inner heart, it doesn't feel right. It's up to you to start to kind of determine the difference there. But what you can begin to play with either way is still building up your whatever it is, whether it's Instagram or taking lessons or practicing your photography or, actually taking the steps. If it's about, some type of, body journey, if you really just like want to build a lot of muscle or I don't know, something like that in general, or become very flexible, you're going to have to start somewhere. So like, make sure that you're taking the actual action to practice. And then we have here the Queen of Waves, right? The inner life. This is about mastering your feelings here, like mastering your inner feelings and how you feel about, being the influencer or putting yourself out on YouTube or doing photography, really connecting. And they're all tied together, but really connecting with like your inner world to become and build that within yourself, like birthing that within yourself, like knowing who you are so that when you go out and put yourself out there, it's not this feeling of like, oh, people, like I'm an imposter, this or that. Like, know who you are, know that you've done the work, know that you're this is what you've committed yourself to. And the fake it till you make it kind of all ties in, right? It's about bringing in your playfulness, your fantasies, your drama here a little bit to bring yourself into that position. So you're like imagining these scenarios. You're doing this all on behalf though of a higher, like a positive, not a, oh my gosh, then this is going to happen and then this is going to happen and I'm not going to be able to handle it or what am I going to do? Not like the messy stuff, like the joyful stuff, like, wow, this was so easy. Wow, I love where I live. I love my view. Like, this is something that I did when I lived in Staten Island. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. I always put myself in here. I don't mean to, but it's just like easier for me to, draw from my own experiences. But I was living in Staten Island at my husband at the time with my in-laws, and I had to live, and I'm grateful, but it's still a challenging situation. And I was living, entirely out of one bedroom, and this was like my partner at the time's childhood bedroom. And it was very cramped and it was very, very much not my home. And Staten Island was the part of Staten Island I was living. I was in the South Shore at the time, was like just not really a great place for me. And I just felt very like, oh, I don't like it here. 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 I gotta move. I gotta get a place. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Like, it was very, real. Like my waking up was real. I was not in my own home. My sharing the bathroom was real. My, parking down the street because there wasn't no parking was very real. I realize these are very minor problems in the scope of the big picture of the world. But what I'm just trying to share here was that at some point I realized, wait a minute, like I'm just affirming my reality and I'm just kind of planting seeds or setting myself up for down the road, more of this, more of this, more of this. So I started When I would, go into the kitchen in the morning, I would close my eyes and pretend I was looking out over like my little backyard, which like, by the way, I don't have my own little backyard yet, but I have my own place, like it's a much better situation for me. I have a beautiful little balcony that I get to watch squirrels and lizards on, and I just absolutely love it. It's not a big balcony, but I can fit out there. Like I in Staten Island, in the cold, in the dry, in the climate that is not very supportive for me, I just kept envisioning like what my kitchen would look like, what foods would be in my fridge, how I would decorate my place, or what it would look like, or what the vibe is like, or how happy I am to see my son thriving in this space, and all of this stuff. And it really brought in this like actor kind of energy to kind of like fake myself there. And things shifted, and I'm much closer, and I'm very grateful and very happy where I am right now. I'm much closer to, a place one day. It's a bad climate right now for buying a house, but, it's getting there. So sorry for putting myself in there, but you really have to take some steps. Work on your inner, like your birthing, your inner, the life within you that you're creating of you, so that it is fortified, so that you do not feel like an imposter. You don't feel out of place. Imagine, play, shoot for the stars. Okay, I'm so sorry. My arms are like sticking to the table. I cleaned it. It's just sweaty. I'm so sorry. It's hot here today. Okay. All right, so then our tarot cards here, we have the Two of Wands, we have the Lovers in reverse, and we have the Ten of Swords. Not everyone's favorite, but we're going to empower this here. Okay, so this is telling me that perhaps like when you come to your action, you might feel like either, you feel torn on what action to take, or it's just kind of materializing for you. Like it's just starting to like feel out like, okay, this does feel right. This does feel right. But it's almost like we have this wanting to like put a foot out and like push down, or like try, or like do it but not really invest into it, or do it but not get our hopes up for it. Like there's this sort of what's the word, it's good to be critical, like in a little bit at least, right? But make sure that this isn't like a pessimism, and that you're just like kind of committed to the direction that you're going in, or the thing that you're wanting to create here. Like you might feel like you really know you want this, but this seems safer. It's almost like a choice between, do I want this like elaborate thing that I have, or this thing that feels like it's too good to be true? Or should I just try the safe route? Or should I just stay with where I'm at? Or should I just, I don't mean that being humble is bad. Being humble is a great thing. Or should I just like live a more humble lifestyle, when on another level, like I'm really called to like a different sort of lifestyle, or to really cut my own path? Should I travel the path that's been played out many, many times? Or should I cut my own path? Like, it seems like it's something like that. And it might not be exactly that, but something like that. Like, do I do it what I really want, or do I do what I feel like I could do more easily, or that has less risk involved? There's an issue coming up here, the Lovers in reverse here. So this is, the lovers, right? And this can be about like your relationship with yourself. But, here I'm just going to say like this might have been some kind of relationship that's just like, I don't want to say it's over, but like I feel like there's just been a lot of stress involved in this. I feel like either you might be stressing out that you don't have that ideal love in your life, and I don't even mean stressing out, but like just aware that it's not here, like aware that, let me tie these together a little better. Do I plan for myself, or do I plan with another person? Do I create for me, or do I create in hopes that so-and-so is going to come back? Or, I haven't met them yet, but maybe that person is going to want to do, when I finally meet my person, maybe they already have a house and they want to stay here and I want to move. So maybe I should just already start to like think about staying here, even though my heart is telling me to go somewhere different. It's almost like catering your goals and dreams off of whether or not there's going to be a relationship in your life or not. And I just want to tell you that it doesn't really work that way. Like if you are truly following your heart, and it's funny, there's like a globe in this person's hand. If you're really following your heart here, the relationship that is in alignment with that will come up. And if you choose to take the path that is less risky, or that you just feel you can do, like, it's just like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I can stay at this job. I can stay in my town. I can do this. I can, whatever. Like, if you're just kind of like cutting yourself short a little bit, then you're going to get a person who's going to do that too. You know what I mean? So, or perhaps you're in a relationship and you're like, I want to travel. My partner doesn't. I want to have a family. My partner doesn't. Or I don't want to have a family. My partner does. It's really important here to remember a little bit about detachment if this is a relationship thing for you. And I'm sorry that I'm leaning that way, but it really just feels like that's what it is. It almost feels like the potential of relationship or the present relationship is interfering with how committed you are to this journey that you feel so called to. Okay, so regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not, we have to come to this point of understanding that people come into our lives for a reason, and they are released for a reason. And it doesn't make the relationship any less significant or meaningful if it was a weekend, whirlwind, and that was it, or a summer romance, or a 10-year thing, and now it's time to end it. Like, they're all very credible, they're all very impactful, they all have meaning. But if you're feeling like you want to continue to grow and you're limiting yourself in some way for either the hopes of a relationship or, thinking that someone else is going to carry you there too, like, well, I really want to be rich, but maybe I'll just meet someone that's rich. Like, you can meet someone who's rich, don't get me wrong, but don't limit yourself or not shoot for what you want because you're thinking, oh, well, you know what, I'll just get a rich partner or something like that. I don't know, I'm sorry, whoever that's for. The message here is to not let your relationship, present or the potential of one, interfere with your goals, with your journey, with your soul's evolution, because as you continue to just follow your heart here and take those steps that we talked about in our oracle section, people are going to fall out, people are going to fall in, friendships are going to be made, friendships are going to be lost. That is the nature of this realm. That is how things are. People come out and come back in. And I feel like some of you are, for whatever reason, because it's hard, are going to struggle with that a little, or are struggling with that, or it just feels like a lot to handle. It feels like a mental, anguish, like a mental overload, and just like a numbness. Like, it feels like you're numb at this point because, you just like, then I'm not going to move. Then I'm not going to go anywhere because, I don't want to hurt someone, or I don't want to. For those of you who are thinking about the potential of a relationship, it's a lot easier. But for those of you that are in a relationship and you're worried about losing this relationship if you take the next step or if you keep going with where you want to go, it's I can't sugarcoat it. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be more mental pain than heartache. Am I not in focus here? Was I not in focus? I'm so sorry if that wasn't in focus. Goodness. But I don't even know when it went out. But anyway, sorry, it's hard for me to see. The screen is actually pretty far away from my eyes here, and I don't have my glasses on. But when you get to this, or maybe this is all stuff you're working through Cancer season, and this is that new moon or leading up to the new moon where you're like, oh, healing. Just let it hit you. Just validate it. This isn't defeat. This isn't it's just letting that wave really hit you, and then the tide will turn, and then it will wash out, and then you'll start feeling better. But there's certainly going to be a wave that is going to feel very taxing mentally to you. You're going to have a lot of different thoughts hitting you at once, a lot of different opinions hitting you at once. And, it's okay. It's really going to be okay. Just allow it to hit you, move forward, clear the space, and you're going to feel so much better. So just to go over again, I'm sorry to be redundant, but keep doing the thing you want to do. Don't let anybody get in your way. Keep building who you want to be. Keep seeing yourself that way. Keep playing, keep imagining, keep fantasizing. If you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't, I don't know. I'm just going to say, like, doesn't want to have kids. I don't feel that particularly. I'm just pulling stuff out of the air as a point. But just, like, someone who doesn't want what you want. Or let's say you're just like, I want to do this, I want to do this. And your partner at the time right now is, like, kind of negative or kind of, not, like, negative to you, but just, like, a kind of negative thinker. Like, a bit like, well, hopefully, or, oh, God willing, or, if you're like, oh, like, I want to go to Tokyo next year. Oh, well, God will, well, maybe, like, it's like, no, just let me play here. Like, I want to do that. I'm going to play with that. Like, don't cut me down. Don't, make it more complicated than it needs to be right now. Like, that kind of thing. If you're with someone like that, don't let them interfere. You don't have to cut them out. Things will happen naturally. Like, everything will fall into place. You don't have to, also, like, just to let you know, you don't have to break up with anyone right now. You just have to remember not to let it interfere with your actual path. And you know what? Now that I'm saying all this, we got a very similar message last month. Like, there was a similar message here. So maybe if you remember, maybe there's a similarity. I just want to bring comfort to this card here because I know it can be very harsh looking. But please know that, like, this happens to all of us. Towers happen to all of us. Death and crossing through transitional periods happens to all of us. The Three of Swords happens to all of us. Please don't let this, like, make you feel disempowered. This is just acknowledging. This is the perfect opportunity to validate. Whew, I'm overwhelmed. Whew, I have a lot on my mind. Wow. I have way too much information coming at me at once and it's overwhelming. Like, wow. Let me just surrender to this. Let me just let this hit me. Let me just not fight it, not press against it, not create more conflict here and push. Let me just get hit with this because I know just like as you let the fever come in and break, you start to clear, you will clear. Like, this is like, I don't say the bottom, like, it's not a rock bottom. I don't mean to say that, but it's like the wave that comes in so that it can come out. Okay? Like it'll shift. It won't be like this for long. So please hope that resonates with you. Okay, pile 2, you chose the cute little ocean jasper sphere. And jasper is such a grounding stone. It's so gently grounding, so comfortable. It's one of the most comforting stones in my humble opinion. I absolutely love jasper. So if you're working through anything right now that is uncomfortable, if you feel like you need grounding, if you feel like you just need that supportive energy, ocean jasper or really any jasper would be very beneficial for you to work with. Okay, so we're going to work with our oracle line first, even though this is tarot, but I like to work with it. We have teach, the hanged one, and you're the boss. Oh, okay. All right, so teach is pretty obvious. You have knowledge, you have experience, you have something to pass on. You have, whether this is in your household, whether this is your friends, whether this is an actual teacher sort of situation, you have knowledge, you have experience. This is really interesting here. So we're starting with that. And then we have the hanged one or the hanged man or the hanged woman or whatever. The hanged one sounds good. The word here is pause, but I do just want to bring up, yes, pause, but also perspective. For me, the hangman is very much about like shifting, pausing so that you can let the true perspective or a shift in perspective kick in. When things are right in front of your face, you might be feeling this call to teach, or you might be feeling like you have a message you want to pass on. This could be in the form of a book, a blog, a Instagram, a YouTube channel, a lesson, a course, actually teaching like in the traditional sense. This could be vocationally teaching. This could be offering, what's the word? Tutoring. Like this could be offering like tutoring or like more vocational sort of one-to-one experiences, or in a class or on an online forum of some kind. But, we pulled here. There's something of a message here though about pulling back, taking a break so you can see the bigger picture, or you can see things from a different angle. You can see things in a way that is unique, that is something you haven't thought of before, essentially, or something you're like, oh, wait, those dots connect, or oh my gosh, wait, there's like a huge need for this. Like, yes, like this is the way that I should do it. So there is a call here to like take a break, meditate, go for a walk, clear your head. If you live by the water, go to the beach. If you live in any other area, like go to nature, like connect with nature. But there is something to keep in mind here, that like take a break, pull back to see the bigger picture, or to see things in a way that you have not seen them before. It will reveal something of how that lesson is supposed to come out. And if this is teach and it's a little more localized, it's more of a friendship situation, or, like teaching your child, or you can teach, like, for example, you can teach people how to treat you. I think that's one of the most important things that we need to do in our life, is teach people how to treat us, because if we don't do that, they might treat us like they they might treat us how they treated the last person, you know what I mean? Or they might treat us like they treat their mother, or like they're this or that. When no, like, I'm a unique person, like this is how you treat me, or I'm not gonna play with you, right? So it could be something like that as well for those of you who are like, okay, teach, yeah, sure, I share. It might actually be like teaching people how to treat you, or teaching people how you got through something, as well as like obviously another option here. And to pull back, gain some perspective, pulling back, taking a break, meditating, going for that walk, connecting with nature, sleeping, in your dreams could be potentially an area where you just kind of like let things process. And when you wake up, you feel more clear-headed, like taking time. But it's to get the bigger picture here, or to get a different view on the picture so you can navigate this better. And here we have you're the boss, right? So a little self-explanatory, but you're in control of your energy. You're in control of whether you choose to participate with things or not, okay? So I would suggest here to make sure that you're daily, especially if you're someone who's a little, again, like resonates as an empathic person, and you feel like you're very easily susceptible to like, the environment or other people's thoughts or feelings, or, what other people are going through. That's lovely, but it's not really helping anyone. Potentially, it's one thing when you're having a conversation with a friend and you're empathizing with them. It's another thing that when someone else's stress becomes your stress, or someone else's stress triggers your stress, you can claim yourself as sovereign. You can claim yourself as the boss, And this also really makes me think of, really crafting your own reality, like crafting your own world here. So I'm not exactly sure how these all come together. For example, if you are in the need to teach people how to treat you, and also teach people, of your evolution. Like, it's not just about, hey, you better treat me with respect. Like, yes, obviously, of course, cool. Like, yes, like that's a good thing to teach people. But also, or like teach people how to talk to you. Like, if somebody talks weird to me, I'm just like, what did you mean by that? Like, give them a chance. But, if not, then like they need to know, like, I'm not going to talk to someone who talks to me that way, or whatever the case may be. But there's also a call here to teach others, or share of yourself, like your own personal evolutions. I think I've shared this story before, but like when I was married before, and when I first started dating my partner at the time, I was a very different person than who I was 5 or 6 years later, and I had to be like, hey, like, you're great, but like, I've changed and I now need this from you. Are you okay with that? Like, I need this. Like, this wasn't how I was before, but like now I need this, like, and explain that. Or if you're teaching someone about like your sexuality, or teaching someone about like how you're identifying now, or whatever the case may be, right? So there's a lot that can be tied in here. The bottom line though is, of course, like we said 20 times, to pull back so you can get a better perspective. You'll know how to navigate better. And just remember, like, you're in control here. You're in control of how much you share. You're in control of the way you teach. You're in control of how much you put yourself out there, of who you open up to or not, who you bequeath your information to, and pass on your knowledge. you're the boss. And you're the boss of your energy. You're in control of your energetic fields. We have to have an awareness, of course, of this, the fact that you are sovereign, the fact that you're in control, and claim that on a daily basis. Okay, and then we have the Three of Pentacles, Strength, and the Eight of Wands, these being in reverse. The Three of Pentacles in reverse and Strength in reverse. Okay, so the Three of Pentacles in reverse is telling me that, it's either you have something in mind that you want to build, something of a collaboration, something that, will be experienced not only by you and the people you're collaborating with, but potentially others. Something, like, again, a YouTube channel or an Instagram or something on the more technologically built thing, an app, right? A blog, a movie, a piece of art, anything tangible that is something that others will experience. And, I'm saying tangible with an app, but like people are really, experiencing the app. It's not just like in their head or, it's not like in the ethers, right? It's something that is held and oh my gosh, I'm stumbling so bad on my words. And I've been typing so bad too. So anybody else? But something that's actually engaged with, essentially. And there's either like a stall on it, or it's just not all like it's just like, it could be just because it's an idea right now. So it's not really like it's in a stall position, but it's just an idea, or it's something that's internal, that's being built. But you have something coming up that is to be built with others, that will be experienced by many others as well. Like this is the image of these three people kind of like designing this cathedral sort of space. So that's why it makes me think it's something that others will experience. Then we have the Strength card in reverse. And usually strength is about kind of like going in very gently so that you're not like causing someone to run away from you, or something to run away from you, or like collide with you and crash. Like taking a gentle, like, what you got in your mouth, buddy? Let me see. Instead of like, hey, what have you got? And then like the dog runs away, right? Like you gotta like kind of use, not like manipulative, but like use what you have to like access something in a more gentle way, and how much strength there is in that, in your patience, in the mythology of like taking those steps and letting something come to you instead of going after it, right? And so here in reverse, again, this makes me think of either, it could go either way, and I'm sorry, we're going to just have to honor that this is for more than one person here, but it could go either way. It could be that, you're kind of contemplating how you can approach this, how you can make this come to you, whether it's, the people to collaborate with or the people that are going to experience, how can we make them come to us instead of like having to go out and like hunt something or like chase something down. And it's just something you're thinking about. And on the other hand, this could be just saying like, it's time to use a little more force at the same time. Personally, it's not what I would feel here necessarily. I don't feel like force is ever what's like being asked of with the Strength card, but more so like that inner, it could be like, if something's been, like just bothering you and it's time to just like kind of like wrestle with it a little, maybe someone out there that is for them. But for, just to be honest, sorry, there's like a little fruit fly in here. To be honest, it feels more of like the internal like reflection of like, how can I make this come to me? How can I do this most easily? How can I do this without a fight? How can I let this happen almost organically, And I think that as those thoughts are worked on, or as that process is kind of like moved through internally for yourself, there's going to be a huge pull of, sorry, I did that upside down, but a huge pull of force like coming at you, like creative energy. So this is a bit about, it's so interesting. This calling to create something and collaborate and put something out there. How can I make this come to me? And when you do, like, yeah, it is going to come to you. Like Eight of Wands, like all this creative force, like coming at you, like the support, the opportunities, like all coming at you. So how can we reflect on how can I make things come to me? Well, then you have to be a magnet for it, right? You have to be appetizing to it or something like that. Am I like still? Okay, I think I am in focus. It's just such a odd looking little screen here. So how can you magnetize yourself? Well, you have to hold the image of what you want to share in your head. You have to hold this, write it, hold it, visualize it, hold it, imagine it, really connect with it. Not just the building of it, not just what it looks like when it's done, but how it's going to help other people, how it's going to make them feel, how it's going to make them think, how it's going to inspire them, how it's going to be useful for them, how it's going to help them navigate their day, right? Like, think about not just the process of it. In fact, I wouldn't think of the process of it. I would think of a little bit more of the end result, because the process is something that, because this is a collaboration, you're going to need help with anyway. You know, like, you don't know maybe how to build an app, or maybe you don't know right now how to edit a video this way that you have in your mind or something. I don't know, stuff like that. Or how to bake something, how to do this, how to whatever. Like, there's stuff that, like, it's not like, you don't have to know everything, especially if you're already called to collaboration. We have to acknowledge that, like, we're collaborating because we all bring different stuff. So focus on it going smooth, it being done, and it being experienced, and the continuation of that, and how it affects people in a positive way, how it's a beneficial element in people's lives, whether it's like a concert or like a journey, right? Or like, what am I trying to say here? Whether this is a retreat, whether this is a event of some kind, right? Like, think of like what you want the experience to be, and like really build that out. And when it comes to, magnetizing yourself so things come to you, you have to just, as you see this in your mind, you will automatically magnetize others to you that will be supportive of that. Like, paths will cross, like, it's not like you have to keep it all inside. Like, you can talk about it a little, because talking about it is what people say, like, oh my gosh, I wanted to put on an event, or yeah, I've been thinking of that, or actually, yeah, I've been looking for work and I've been doing, like, like we got to share a little bit, not like too much so that it takes all the air out of the balloon, but we got to share a little bit, but just like really focus on aligning to what it is you're trying to create and share will create that magnetism to bring that to you, bring things to you in a very aligned and supportive way. I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I feel like I'm not like wrapping that up very clean, but there's something about that there. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed. Okay, pile 3 with the indigo gabbro sphere, one of my favorite stones. This is a great stone for energy work. Like, it has like really clashy, like lightning kind of energy to me. I love working with like archangels with this. It is a jasper. I think technically it's like a indigo gabbro jasper, but I feel it to be a little more punchy than a typical jasper. While it still has that like nurturing and grounding energy, it has like this like contrast energy, this flashy energy. It's very hard for me to put into words, but like I said, I love using this with like Reiki, with protective energy, with seeing myself as whole, complete, a child of these divine forces, and like what could mess with me. I just love this. I love this for thinking of spirit and matter, or pattern and matter, and just like absolutely like that wholeness and that force. It's quite dense and heavy too, like really, really heavy for what size it is. Okay, so this is what I'm using as oracle. This is tarot, but I like it as an oracle card. Okay, so we have Cry, Cancerian season, Knight of Lasers, and then we have See the Solution. Ooh, interesting. I don't think I've ever got the See the Solution card before. Okay, so Cry. I think that you will not be alone as you cry in Cancerian season or anytime really. Of course, there's always other people out there going through it too. So never feel bad for how you're feeling. But crying, I know we've heard it so many times, but crying is such a movement of energy. Like, it moves emotions, it moves energy, it washes things away, it lets things out, it brings it also like, we cry over happy things, but when I'm thinking of more of like a cathartic cry, it's usually not a happy cry, it's more of just like an overwhelm or a sorrow, or again, like a validation, or like it's deep, and deep cries can be happy, but I personally haven't experienced them that way. I don't mean to like make it sound bad, but like I don't really experience deep cries as happy cries. Deep cries are usually, you know what though? I am picturing like Uma Thurman on the floor in Kill Bill 2 at the end of the movie when she's like crying in the bathroom. Like that seems like a deep happy cry, But there was also a lot of overwhelm in that cry too, right? So it's usually about like contrast. It's usually about like hating yourself, or like facing the fact that like you had a bad experience, or like, oh, like you feel unlovable, but that's not true, or things didn't work out how you wanted them to, and now you have to start over, and or just like how crazy the world is, or how hard you've been trying, or how tired you are, right? Like, sorry, I'm not trying to make it negative, but just to validate, like, it's there, like that's the human experience, and crying helps move things, clear things. It's so simple, but it is such an important part. So if you are one of the people who kind of holds it back, who sucks it up, please let yourself let it out. Like, please. In fact, I would recommend watching a freaking sad movie. Watch Dancer in the Dark, like watch something super sad. Watch, I'm trying to think, The Fountain, like watch something sad AF to like get it going, and then just let everything come out, Okay. Then we have the Knight of Lasers in Dynamic, and it's a really interesting like waxing crescent with a horse and this like pyramid sort of steps. So usually knights feel like someone to me, like someone kind of coming into your life, or there is someone in your life, and there's something about the dynamic here. So this makes me think it could be about a relationship, or if you're not in a relationship, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. But there might just be something in your life that's stressing you out, whether this is your relationship with your child, or your parent or caregiver, right? Or just someone special in your life, whether this is your relationship with how your mother treated you, or, or with someone who has passed on. There's so much opportunity here for, conflict a little, or the challenge of seeing that there's conflict. In conflict there is support, and there is also there's good times and there's bad times, like kind of thing. So I don't know if this is, it is, I'm kind of reading them like they're together here, or they're part of it. Is there something that has been eating you up a little, or has hurt you that you didn't want to admit hurt you, in terms of the relationship you might have with, like, again, a parent or a child or a family member, of a friend, of an ex-friend, or of an ex, or of a, present relationship that, you're just like not facing right now. So maybe that is, and maybe that's not, you'll be the judge for that. But regardless, the word dynamic is definitely standing out here for me. So please remember that you interfere, rather you influence the dynamic of your relationships. This might be a fire sign for you, or someone with just like fiery energy in general, but it seems like, I just want to remind you, I guess this is the message here, it's just like you impact the dynamic of your relationship. You, because you are in it, will always have an influence on your relationship. So if you have been wanting to change something in your relationship, you have to bring a different energy to the relationship. You have to bring a different dance. You have to bring a different rhythm. You have to bring a different reaction. You have to bring a different approach. So if there's something challenging you about a present dynamic in your relationship, or a present relationship, you are one end of the cord of the line, they are another end, and what you both send into the line that connects you holds the dynamic of your relationship. It could be toxic, it could be really supportive, it could be a mix of good and bad, right? I mean, all relationships are a little bit good and bad, right? So you have to, if you're looking for them to be more kind to you, and what you've been doing so far, only but what you've been doing so far Maybe that's complaining. Maybe that's shutting down. Maybe that's the silent treatment, right? Like shutting down. Maybe that's ignoring it. Maybe that's, just thinking that they're going to read your mind. Maybe it's being very direct. Maybe you have been very direct. But whatever you've done so far, you're going to have, what then their reaction is. Do they become defensive? Do they push your buttons more? Do they shut down then? So you have to think about this, like what's going on in this dynamic of your relationship. Again, friendship, relationship, like romantic relationship, parent, kid kind of relationship, whatever. And what can you do different that will inevitably force them, not in a forceful way, but force them to react differently. They will not react the same to a new approach. So if you've been shutting down and now you start communicating, hey, when you say that stuff, like I don't like it. It makes me feel this way. I don't think you're trying to hurt my feelings, but it does. And then I shut down and I don't know how to talk about this with you. I don't want you to think I'm a big baby. Then they're going to hear you. And, if they're a decent person, they're going to be like, wow, like, thank you for telling me that. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Or if you're already like, don't talk to me like that, maybe they're getting defensive. So maybe you can change the approach there too. So I hope you know what I'm trying to say. And this card, see the solution comes up, which is perfect for this. Like you're going to have to think about this. How have I been reacting to what they do? Or how have I been insinuating or starting something? Is insinuating? I don't know if that's the right word there, but like, how have I been approaching? How have I been pushing buttons? And I don't like their reaction. So what can I do? Like, I have to change, right? Or else we're going to be stuck in this loop together until we both can't take it anymore. So you have to really think here and shift and commit to shifting so that you can change the dynamic of this relationship. And it is very much possible. Okay, so then we have Judgment, the Nine of Swords in reverse, and then we have the Sun. Okay, cool. How interesting. Okay, so Judgment is very much about like, a rebirth, For me, it's rebirth. It's like coming back from the dead. It's like you have this image of these people being woken up out of their graves. I know how morbid, right? Being woken up out of their graves by this song from the angel, right? And it has this like kind of Red Cross vibe. So very like Libra energy, very like healing energy as well. It's funny, that came up in an attunement I did recently. Interesting. It looked just like that. Anyway, a rebirth, something is waking up your spirit. Something's waking up your spirit. There's a melody, there's a thought, there's a new perspective, there's an idea, there's a potential, there's something like waking you up, like you're feeling very much like alive now, or like a new lease on life, or whoa, like something really like waking you up here. And I just want to remind you too that like you're your own judge. So if you feel like you don't deserve a second chance, or you feel like I can't explain, or a 100th chance, you're your own judge here. Like you need to forgive yourself if that comes up. All right, so then we have the Nine of Swords here in reverse, and this is making me think that you're recovering from something, like you're recovering from some kind of mental anguish that had been like literally keeping you up at night, or you've been dreaming about. And there's some kind of recovery here, some kind of connection, like putting you more in touch with yourself, some release of this pain that you've been experiencing. It's like a mental pain, like a up all night pain, like I can't get this out of my head, like your bill, I don't know. I went through a period when I was pretty young where I got my very first credit card. I think it was a very low balance, but I maxed it out and I didn't realize how important it was. So I just didn't pay it for a couple of months because it wasn't that big. And then, I messed up my credit, and then bill collectors were calling me, and I was like, oh shit, I wish I knew this. I wish I had been taught this. And I was like so stressed out because like it just snowballed, it just snowballed. And I was like, I don't know, 18 or something. So, I'm sure not the only one who's been in that position, but it was such a thing. It was keeping me up. There's something that has come in that has given you a new way of looking at things, like wind in your sails, like motivation, perspective, like, oh my gosh, wait, like there's an opportunity here I can take. I can you know, call the bank and tell them, oh, I didn't realize and I'm having trouble, and like, can we stop this and can we put this on, can I make payments? Like, there's some kind of resolution, you know, like some kind of resolution here, and it's going to really support, like, you know, you're going to feel like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. You can finally feel like you can chill out a little bit. And it might not be financial. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to like use examples here. It could be something totally different, of course. But it could be a person coming into your life, you know. It could be some new music. It could be committing to, like, you know, finding out you really are interested in something, or that you really have a passion for something and it's bringing you forward. And now, instead of thinking about all the things that kept you up before, you're thinking about all the good stuff, you know, like all the things you're excited to try and blah, blah, you know. So it shifts a little bit. And the shift is so in alignment with your soul. It's completely in alignment with your inner child, your soul, your inner truth. And I even want to say your sun sign, you know, so whatever your sun sign is, like, it might help you feel more connected to the, you know, like the higher qualities of whatever your sun sign might be. This might even be partaking in some of you whose birthdays are coming up, you know, and just kind of really feeling this like turn of the cycle, this new lease on life, and this opportunity to kind of like have a rebirth of sorts for yourself. It's also very much about summer, and I know in the northern hemisphere we're entering summer. We had our summer solstice recently, but this could be marking of time in that way. But regardless, it is a soul connection here. Like, this is healing for your soul and helping you to get more in contact with your soul's messages for you, its guidance for you, what your soul leads you towards in your life, like what you've come into this lifetime to experience. All right, so just to go over a little quickly, like, cry, like, let it out, please let it out. Please let yourself feel. Please, you know, put on the sad movie, put on the sad music, let yourself feel. Like, you know what makes you cry. Put it on, you know, watch a freaking Disney movie. They're always so freaking sad, right? I don't even watch Disney movies because I can't stand how they're all so sad. It, like, always make me cry. I don't like it. But something like that, like, get the snowball going and like use the momentum and cry it all out. Remember that in your relationships, you control the dynamic, or you have influence rather. You don't control it 100%, because hey, if you've been fighting and you realize, oh my gosh, like, look at us on this loop, I'm going to have to go in with patience. I'm going to have to go in with like explanation. If you're doing that and this person is still like this for you, then you see, this isn't going to work. Like, this isn't going to work. I've done everything I can now. It's over. Like, I got to move on, right? So it doesn't always heal every relationship, but it does, honestly, the majority of them. And then here you have this like new breath, like this new, like the earth is singing to you, like there's music in the air, like you're falling in love with something, and it's helping you to release a lot of stress, a lot of mental anguish that you've been experiencing, and helping you to feel more in connection with your soul, with who you really are, with who you're meant to be, with the life you're meant to experience here. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to this little video this month. I hope that you enjoyed it. Special thanks to Patreon. Thank you so much for the support and the inspiration and the motivation and the fun. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to those who have been just, you know, following the channel. Thank you to those I've been so blessed to work with and work on attunements with. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. I hope that you have a beautiful Cancerian season. I'm wishing you nothing but the best. There's a squeaky truck outside. And I will talk to you soon. And please be on the lookout for the ASMR video that corresponds with this, which will be up relatively close together. Okay, the next video after this will be that. All right, thank you so much. Much love to you, and namaste.